say so. Rack it up, I got a bit of the bank to make me a safe house. Shake it up, she got her hands on her knees and she bringing the cake out. Smoke it up, I got some gas, some packs, I'm up in the greenhouse. Ball it up, I'm with the gang, we taking shots off the rebound. Fucking my posters, say now, I've been humble too long, yeah. Tell them all to stay calm, yeah. Tell them all to move on, yeah. Fucking my posters, say now, they be lost in the sauce, yeah. Took a loss, that's your loss, yeah. Had to get my point across. Hey, smoking that dope from Edmond. We the new meth in Redmond. We ain't real blood, but we brethren. Run up a check and it's pending. She talking my news, what send them. Fuck with the fam, you a dead man. Jesus, peace on my pendant. And we still independent. ISO.
This podcast is sponsored by Easy Skip Tracing. Go to www.easyskiptracing.com for some of the most quality data in the marketplace. In fact, Easy Skip Tracing believes in good quality data so much that they're willing to provide you the leads as long as you skip trace the list with the company. Listen, text 1K leads to 44222 and get 1,000 free leads as long as you purchase the skip tracing with Easy Skip. This podcast is sponsored by the REI Lead Vault. The REI Lead Vault is a real-world Podio workspace solution designed by real estate professionals for real estate professionals. Check it out at the REILeadVault.com.
Nothing but nuggets. Yeah. See, I'm telling you, man. Came from nothing to something. Now we giving you game. Dropping nothing but nuggets.
Or if you, sorry about that, guys. I forgot to unmute myself. If we're going to be dropping some amazing nuggets, hopefully you guys can read my lips. We're going to be dropping some amazing nuggets. I got my guy Burton here from PropStream. It's going to be an amazing night. Listen, take 45 minutes and lock yourself into a room. We're going to be talking some amazing things that you can do to generate leads and show you what a lead is and how to take your list building and your lead generation to the next level. Without any further ado, is my guy Burton. Burton, let everybody know who you are. You've been on the show, all my different platforms. You've been on all these different shows we do a bunch of different times. But let everybody know who you are if they don't know. I call you the lead guy, man. You really like the lead plug, man. You like the lead plug when it comes to leads, man. People don't understand how important you are and what value you provide to the real estate industry. Not just me and my audience, but everybody. Everybody and mother go to Burton for high level advice when it comes to taking leads from places like PropStream and really generating hot leads.
Well, first off, thank you so much for that great introduction, man. You made me feel great right now. So that made my day. But no, thank you everyone for having me. Again, my name is Burton. I'm the Senior Product Specialist at PropStream. For the last 7 years, I've done nothing but help investors nationwide source our data to find leads nationwide. And that's what I'm going to be teaching at the DRIP 2020 event. One of the biggest things I'm really good at is just understanding that data and just being a tour guide for our data. So that's just a little bit about me. And thanks again for that great introduction, man.
Thank you. So let's get into it. What is a lead to you? Like, what's your definition of the word lead?
Well, that's tricky. So my definition of lead is just someone who's facing a situation that has a high probability of wanting to sell their property to you at a discounted at a discounted price. That's what a lead really is. I just think that sometime along the way, we kind of got confused and kind of got tunnel vision a little bit. And I think now people are thinking of lead a lot different than what I think they need to think of it. So my goal is to give people a different perspective on what a lead really is at the end of the day.
Right. So you know, a brand new person who's starting out, right, and they just trying to figure out how to get their first deal. What type of leads should they be looking at? What type of list should they be pulling? And what strategy would you give them as far as like getting their first deal?
Well, it depends on the strategy. So there's a list for every type of real estate strategy out there. So the first thing I like to know is what type of real estate strategy are you implementing? And if, for example, you're a wholesaler, then there are some rules that you need to follow when it comes to finding a lead. And some of the main rules, for example, when it comes to wholesaling is it has to be off market and it has to have equity. Without it being off market and without it having equity, your whole wholesaling strategy falls apart. Now, the third part is what we call motivation. And that's what really generates what a lead is. And I think that's where we kind of got lost a little bit. So right. when I say motivation, there's all sorts of motivation out there. Now, for those that are coming into this industry, we're taught to go find a motivated seller's list. And so we're taught to find what we know to be distressed records, right? Pre-foreclosures and liens and divorces and delinquencies, vacant properties, which is a great thing to do. You should definitely do that. But with this industry, you know, getting bigger and more investors showing up every single day, you're going to start finding that these leads are going to be very competitive. And so what I'm trying to do, or what I'm going to be doing at the Drip event, is I'm going to explain to you guys a whole different mindset to have so that you can not just look for leads that everybody else is looking for, but look for leads that are things that are hidden. Again, these are problems that are out there that aren't on a list that you can go find, right? And I think that's what we've kind of gotten lost a little bit. And so my goal is to now explain to you guys how you are overlooking some amazing leads because you're used to pulling a list, and I'm going to teach you how to pull data rather than a list. And hopefully that will help you guys find new leads, especially for those that are new and you're finding yourselves in a very competitive market. Everybody's called the pre-foreclosures, or nobody on the pre-foreclosure list wants to deal with you. That doesn't mean that there aren't any leads out there. You just got to look a little bit differently. And that's what I'm going to be teaching at the Drip event.
Right. And because I know you said people like literally overlook these certain lists. Is it because people just program just to go out to vacant properties, or, you know, what you think it is?
Well, I think you're absolutely right there. It's that we've been programmed to do it in that fashion. Remember, before technology ever existed, before streaming, before internet, before any of this, real estate investing was still around. But the thing is, right, back then, they had to get these records at a source, and that would have been the county, an agent, the postal service. And so in the past, we were forced to get a list from a said source and then work from that list. Now, as technology got introduced, these companies like us, we started getting that same list and putting it in our database. But I think what ended up happening is that we stayed in that tunnel vision where we need to just go get a list. And that's not the case anymore. We have so much data in our system and so many filters that you can utilize that you don't have to choose a list anymore. You can just go into a market and start building problems. And again, what do we need as a wholesaler? It just needs to be off market with equity. The third component could be what you're already used to, which is getting a list of pre-foreclosures or thinking of problems. And we can come up with all sorts of problems. And just to throw out some ideas, the condition of the property, the year it was built could be a problem. The location of the owner could be a problem. How many years the owner has owned that property could be a problem. The amount of mortgages assigned to that property could be a problem. Any records that have been attached, like a lien, a divorce, a bankruptcy, are also indications of problems. So I want you guys to know that it's not just a list anymore. It's more than that. Your goal is to use the data that we're providing and all these companies are providing and piece them together to find what people are driving by every single day. And these are the owners that aren't on a pre-foreclosure list, but they have maybe 4 mortgages that are on a property that could one day get carried away and cause that pre-foreclosure that you're trying to look for. And that's what I want to be teaching.
See, yeah, and that's one of the things why I wanted to bring you to the Drip conference, because I know for a fact I'm getting up to date, fresh information straight from the source, to plug himself. right? And I think that that's what so many people get confused that, hey, I'm going to pull my list and I'm going to call 2-3 times and hopefully I get a deal. And to me, honestly, I feel in my heart that it's a science behind this whole data thing, right? It's literally a work of art. And people like PropStream makes that getting that data straight to you within a split second by pressing a few buttons that easier. Because at first, you had, like you said, go find the public records, then scrub it, then hire a VA to go through everything one by one, and hopefully, when the VA finished, these are the amount of leads that you was looking for. And PropStream, there's a few clicks of a button, and voila, you got everything you need in one. So, I think a lot of people sleep on PropStream. I think a lot of people. Let's talk about PropStream some more because, and it's not no sales, no pitch, right? This is straight putting our people in position to understand the capabilities of something that they can have for $100 a month, 10,000 leads, right? You got all these amazing lists that you could blend, and correct me if I'm wrong. Like list pulling or data pulling, whatever you want to call it, it's the same thing as like mixing a good drink or rolling a fine cigar. It requires certain special leads from different places of the world to bring this taste to you. The liquor requires to be certain liquors and ages, and so to me that's the same thing as data, man. You got to take this little list and take that list, and when you guys introduce that PropStream automation tool, it allows us to bring in separate data to compare to yours and really create a potent list.
100%. You named it. And that's exactly what we specialize in is we get data from multiple sources, even if it's redundant, even if it's the same pre-foreclosure list that we got from somebody else. We're going to buy it again because we want to make sure that we've triple checked the data. But at the end of the day, what we've learned in the last 15 years is that we're not doing the choose from this list and start from this list. We're now letting you go through all of the data that we've collected, the mortgage, the lien, the years of ownership, the location of the owner, the unit number ranges, the school district, whether it's an HOA or not. These are the things that are creating the new leads to this very day. When you're just pulling a list of pre-foreclosures, I kid you not, you're going to exhaust that list. There's only so many pre-foreclosures that are on the list. And with what's happening in 2020, with counties not doing pre-foreclosures and auctions on time or them being delayed, you're going to need to think outside of the box. And that's why I definitely think you guys should consider at least joining and learning a little bit more about what makes a lead. And again, a lead is no longer a list anymore. It's not a vacant list. It's not a pre-foreclosure. It's utilizing the data that these companies are collecting like ours and piecing them together to build an actual list of properties that have a high probability of wanting to sell at a discount. Remember, some of these properties that want to sell their properties are not on a pre-foreclosure list. They're not on a lien list, but the fact that they have maybe multiple mortgages and it's vacant and they live in a different state, those are the indications as to why they would want to sell. So that's what I hope you guys understand what we can do. Again, we are a lead generation system, but we've taken it beyond because we know as the industry is changing and as more and more investors are showing up, we need to make sure that you guys are not competing with everybody else and you're able to craft and kind of think of it as a buffet of data, right? When you go to a buffet, there's so many things that you can choose from. If you want the hamburger, go for it. If you want the pizza, go for it. But if you want to mix the hamburger and pizza together, that's what we do at PropStream. And it's just, again, a buffet of data. We're no longer telling you what you need to choose from. It's, hey, here's 150 plus filters. Let's go ahead and build what you need. And that's what we do differently. And again, that's what I'm going to be shedding light on is helping you understand the mindset of not building a lead anymore, but building a list of problems that you're going to be going after.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, PropStream not just for real estate investors. It's a lot of other industries that utilize PropStream because of the simplicity of the system that you created.
Correct. The ability to pull.
Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, because we have the open filtering system where we're not choosing, we're not forcing you to choose a pre-foreclosure list or this list or that list. That's why it has become very popular for lenders, brokers, contractors, agents, fix and flippers, people that do creative seller financing. The reason for that is because, again, you get to just create your own leads. Like for agents, they can use our system to find off-market properties, higher and low equities. They can go through our system and find cash buyers that probably want to list the property they just sold, Contractors are using our product to find properties recently built in certain years, so they can do the roofing, they can do the plumbing, they can do the electrical. I had a guy who's a solar panelist, and he was just going through California and finding properties that were built recently and trying to offer them solar panels. And that's what made our system amazing, is that we're not caretaking to a specific audience. We're caretaking to anybody that needs real estate data. It's just you have to understand how to implement it. And if again, you understand that, I'm going to tell you right now, when it comes to leads, sky is the limit once you understand that mindset of building problems and not building a list anymore.
Right. So what are some lists that you think that's highly effective right now in today's market?
Well, I think the highly effective one that's always been evident is going to be pre-foreclosures. Pre-foreclosures are the most sought after list period in every market, only because this is the last stop before the owner loses that property to the lender. Your goal is obviously to get that home before the lender gets it. And this is usually where you're going to find the highest motivated sellers and the biggest discounts, period. But just like with anything, the pendulum swings with real estate. And I say that because 15 years ago, when we were collecting data, the hottest ticket 15 years ago was REO and foreclosures. That was the thing everybody was doing back in 08, 07, 06. Now, as you know, that boom went away and things started recovering. Well, we didn't have any more foreclosures and REO data anymore. So now became the vacant properties and the pre-foreclosures. And so the pendulum swings. And I say that because this year is a perfect example of the pendulum swinging. If this was 2019, I would immediately and without any hesitation tell you that pre-foreclosures are the most sought after lists that year, 2019. But let's look at 2020. Counties are closed, auctions are being delayed, pre-foreclosures are being pushed back or postponed. So are pre-foreclosures now more motivated? They still are, but the homeowners are now delayed. They can say no to you a lot longer. So when I say that the pendulum swings, is that we understood that. And that's why we kept our filters open. And I think now the most sought after list today that people are overlooking are landlords. Landlords with mortgages. Yeah, landlords with mortgages. Think about it. 40 million people have filed for unemployment this year. A lot of those are renters. Imagine being a landlord renting to one of those 40 million people and you have a mortgage. You can't evict them because of the eviction policies happening right now. You still have to pay your mortgage even though they're not paying the rent. And that's why I say the pendulum swings, because last year there was no pandemic and no COVID-19. These guys, you wouldn't even want to talk to because they're cash flowing properties. They're good to go. But now with, again, 40 million people not potentially paying the rent, these homeowners these landlords that took that risk of getting a $1,500 mortgage and then renting it out for $2,000 to pocket that $500, that was a risk they took. But this year, when that tenant has lost their job and they're not paying that $2,000 rent anymore, well, you got to pay that $1,500 rent, Mr. Landlord. And I think that is what's going to cause them to consider wanting to liquidate that property. And again, that's why I said the pendulum swings. That's why we created our filters to be open-ended, so that when that pendulum swings, you can now look at a different category or build that situation that's highly sought after now versus what it was last year.
One of the things as a company we're working on testing is testing landlords who own 3 or less properties. And the reason is these are your people who accidentally became a landlord. That's not their profession. So if you say, for example, the average mortgage check is $1,000 and 2 people out of 3 people stop paying, they on the hook for this $2,000 a month difference. So they're more motivated to sell because they watching the NBC and Donald Trump and Fox talk about, hey, you might not get any money for another 12 months because we can't do anything about it. So to me, these people, and I had a conversation with a couple of these people last week. We tested this list, and these people are very open to anything right now. They just don't want to be on the hook of paying that difference because, like you said, before COVID, everybody's teaching cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. Get that $200 a month. Get that $200 a month. That $200 a month do not look sexy compared to paying the difference of $1,000 mortgage. So I think a lot of people are going to be dumping their portfolios. And one of the things I want to tell people that's watching, critique your script, right? The same script you was using in 2019 is not going to work in 2020 because a lot of people are smart. They've been sophisticated. Just like Burton said, people are not selling, even if they got a pre-foreclosure going right now, because they know the government is going to back them. No one's going to do anything to them right now. So you need to offer them solutions and solve their problems and say, hey, listen, I understand you're ahead of this thing, but we just want to get this off your plate. And literally work with your script and test. Take 1,000, you get 10,000 leads a month, right? Burton, you give everybody 10,000 leads a month with the $99 subscription.
That's correct. 10,000 leads nationwide.
Take 1,000 or 10,000 leads and do a test call or test campaign and just call people to practice critiquing that script. And I guarantee you're going to see some tremendous results. What's your take on all of it?
No, you are 100%. I think that you're very right. I think the message this year is a lot different than last year. Again, this is an unprecedented situation that we're in. There's a lot of uncertainty out there. So what works last year may not be working this year. And so, and I say that in a good way. There's a lot of uncertainty, which is, again, could be used for in a positive way for you, right? We don't know if property prices are going up or down, right? Because the market's so uncertain. We know there's a lot of people that have filed for unemployment. Could that affect the pre-foreclosures? Could that mean that there's going to be more supply and inventory next year, so less demand and wanting to buy properties, and that can impact these property values? What the homeowner wants today may not be what can be sold next year, right? So right. I think you have a very valid point. You should always be evolving your strategies, just like you should always be evolving how you pull data, because the pendulum is going to swing every single time in any industry. You got to make sure that you're learning and then you're moving with that. If not, you're going to be left in the dark. Especially again with what's happening. Just to kind of throw out there, I mean, you're going to see an influx of pre-foreclosures, an influx of liens and bankruptcies, because everything's being postponed right now. But once everything kind of goes back to normal, these records and these auctions can now start getting handled, you're going to see an influx of that. And if you don't understand how to pull that data correctly, you're going to come across either leads that are being called already, and so you're kind of left in the dark, or you're the last one in that whole pool of sharks. Right. So understand, guys, that there's a lot of things that are happening that you can identify now, as long as you manipulate the filters accordingly.
And to add to that, I always tell people, you have to start thinking from a perspective from an underwriter, from a bank, right? If the bank knows that they need to net a certain amount in order to sell this mortgage, just because it's a federal backed mortgage, they're not going to entertain your lowball offer, right? Because at the end of the day, the government say, hey, we need to make X, Y, Z in order to make this work. So you need to understand this and know this when you call these people, how to offer solutions, what bank going to accept what. Partner with short sale negotiators and realtors who are very familiar with this, because at the end of the day, as a company, we're preparing to focus on no equity deals, right? Because at the end of the day, these banks have so much stuff on their books that if I had 50 no equity deals on a contract, it doesn't matter if they don't close all at the same time. But if I can get one to close here and there, hey, I don't build my pipeline up. So that's one of the advices I can give to you.
Most definitely. And yeah, that's a little bit about what we do here at PropStream. And I'm sure you guys still have a lot more questions. And again, that's what I'm going to be doing at the Drip event. I'm going to be sharing you guys some really unique ways on how to think differently when it comes to building data, how to use our filtering system effectively, some of the tools that we have. But my main focus is to make sure that you guys understand that what I call the data mindset, the building problem mindset, the creating situations that are going to want to sell you the property at a discounted price, and no longer looking for just the pre-foreclosure list or the things that people have been doing for decades. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. You should still do that. But like Antoine says, you got to open up your pipeline. And I'm going to be showing you guys some new strategies and ways to use the filters to create newer pipelines and build that relationship and get these homeowners to want to deal with you and you only.
And I can't wait to see that presentation, Drip, November 11th to the 14th. I'm not sure what day you're going to be speaking, but I can't wait to personally watch that presentation, because I know it's up-to-date content that's literally going to affect my business, as well as so many people who's coming to the conference. It's hundreds of people already purchased their ticket. I even told my team, let's continue to push and market since it's virtual. If it was a live event, we would have been saying, hey, we reached our capacity. So if you're interested in coming to the conference, you're going to see people like Burton, people like myself, people like Max Maxwell, people like Chris Jefferson, all just coming with a good intention to really put you on and put you in position to be able to take your business from 0 to making consistent, predictable money. Remember, this conference is called DRIP, Double Revenue Increase Profits. It's not another wholesaling conference. It's literally going to teach you the things you need to do to get a predictable business where you don't have to be a slave to your business or your job. So let's open it up to Q&A real quick. Guys, if you have questions, listen, like I told you, this is the lead plug right here. He's bringing the leads in. He's showing you how to chop them leads up and make a huge profit. Drop your questions in the comments. Get your questions in. The question is going to be answered first come, first serve. If you have any questions about data, about PropStream, about list stacking, now is your time to drop your questions inside the comments so we can get them answered.
And then I also want to add, while these questions are coming in, I promise you guys, we actually have new filters coming in. Some of them have actually been added this week and last week, and we still have more filters coming in, a bunch of new updates. So rest assured, this November
can we know like a few of them? Like you can't
yeah. We just announced it yesterday, 2 days ago. So we have the new seniors list. So we actually figured out a secret sauce on how to identify properties that actually have a senior owner living in them. We have a filter that allows you to look for numbers of properties owned by an individual. So you can do things like find me a senior citizen with 7 properties. They're probably going to want to liquidate. So we have some new filters. I'm going to make sure that you guys understand how these new filters apply. But that's what I mean. I mean, we're constantly
you can share your screen real quick if you don't mind.
I don't mind doing that. Let me go ahead and get it over to you. I'll show you exactly what I mean. But we added some new filters, one of them being the senior living list, or senior citizen, or the senior owner list. So let me show you guys what that looks like. All right, so when you log in, it's actually in the filter itself at the very top. Click on filter after you search a market. So once you search a market, let's say let's do Vegas, Las Vegas. Once I'm in Nevada, I can go into filter. Category is this right here, senior owners. These are the properties that we've been able to identify through our secret method that are owned by a senior citizen. And now that you know the properties that are probably owned by someone in their 60s or much older, then you can build from there. Remember, we're building problems, right? What's a problem a senior owner could have today? Well, I can think of one right off the bat. Senior owner with a mortgage still on that property. That's a situation that would want to get out of that, right? Hey, Mr. Owner or Mr. or Mrs., I'd like to help you with that mortgage that you're paying on, and they may not have, or maybe they have a fixed income. So having that mortgage with the fixed income is not giving them enough to spend throughout the rest of the month. So it's things like this, again, that we're able to build problems. And I mean, we can go through.
Or seniors with 2-story houses, right? As you get older,
exactly.
Your knees tore up. You don't want to keep walking up the steps.
Number of stories, 2 stories. So senior owners with 2 stories, right? Mention. I mean, problems can go through the roof. Senior owners, maybe that own a property, but it's in a different state, right? Another one I can think of are senior owners. Maybe they have 5 properties under their name. And they're individuals. I think these are the ones that are maybe preparing to liquidate their profile, right? Hint, hint there, right, 1,700 ones. So these are filters that we're adding, and we still have many, many, many more. And so what I want to show you guys during the drip event is how to no longer do it the traditional method. And here's what I mean. Back in the heyday, like I was talking about, we would go to Vegas and we would only be forced to choose a list. We would have to go to the county and tell the clerk, I'd like to get your pre-foreclosure list. And then we would take home 1,200 records. And just like Antoine said, then we would hire an assistant to go through those 1,200 records and separate the multifamilies and single families. And then we would take those different piles and call an agent, say, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Agent, how many of these properties are off market or failed or been on the market for so many months? That's what you can do with PropStream. You can go to Las Vegas, find your pre-foreclosures, without calling an agent, boom, they're your off-market properties. Oh, what about the pre-foreclosures that did call an agent and failed? Well, here are your failed listing pre-foreclosures. That's what made PropStream amazing, is that we have the traditional method of searching a market and choosing a list and working off that list, right? Adding your characteristics, your additional filters, or what I consider the building problem way is when you're in a market, you no longer have to choose a list. You can leave this list part blank. You can just use the data that we have and just say, hey, you know what? I want a vacant property. I want it owned by a person who lives in a different state. They've owned this property for 10 years. Remember, it's vacant, right? And to make matters worse, like we talked about, they're still paying on a mortgage. So you were cash flowing the property, but now it's vacant. No one's renting it out. Who's on the hook for that mortgage? You are. So these are the 676 properties in Vegas, currently not cash flowing because there's nobody renting it out, but they're still paying. And if we click on these properties, they're still paying on a mortgage. In this case, this person's still on the hook for $1,000 a month, and it's not rented out right now. And this is probably someone that we can conversate. And maybe nobody wants to rent the property. So their next only alternative is to liquidate that portfolio. And that's what I'm going to be teaching, that mindset of no longer choosing from a list. Rather, you're going in there and just thinking of a problem that you can deal with. Now, again, if you're a wholesaler, we just have to add a few more things. One thing to add is make sure it's off market. Another thing to add is adding equity. As long as you have the off market and equity, the third step is just adding that motivation. That motivation that we added is vacant, add a state with the mortgage, and it still has equity and it's off market. These are our wholesale candidates right here. So that's what I'm going to be showing. And again, this is just kind of a little snippet, a little sample of just the things I'm going to be discussing. Again, we have the seniors list, but we're going to have some new filters actually on the day, or a little bit. We're going to release some new filters before the day of the event. And I'm going to be talking about those filters. So you don't want to miss out on that, because these new filters are definitely going to help you isolate some new leads. And you definitely want to be the first to know these strategies, so that way you can be the first in your market to start going after these leads.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing thing, because some people say they get confused because we named the list, but in PropStream, it's just that the list that we name is just nothing more than just a bunch of different stacks in a different order. So they're like, where do I get a tile landlord list from? Hey, it's a certain way you stack that list, and that's what we call tile landlord. Same thing with the zombie list. The zombie list is nothing more than houses that's in pre-foreclosure that's currently vacant. So if you add the two filters, voila, you got yourself a zombie list. Remember early on the show, we talked about this stuff being like recipes, right? I even put up a poster of it, REI cookbook recipe, and I gave you different combinations of lists that I like to use in my business. And I think some people took it and ran with it, and some people didn't take it and ran with it. But if you figure out that secret sauce, I'm telling you, you're going to be getting people looking to sell for deep discounting. Because right now, you just got to be able to solve problems. Right? You just can't call a person and say, hey, I'm going to lowball you. You got to call a person, be really concerned on the phone, be genuine, listen to their problems, solve their problems, and try to tie your offer into whatever the problem you're trying to solve. And that's how you make the real money in this business. Everybody's just calling and locking up trash just to say they're doing this business. And then by the time they get to a cash buyer, they're like, what is this? And people wondering why there's a disconnect between the wholesalers and the cash buyers, because the wholesalers won't take the time to watch these Instagram lives, these Facebook lives like we do for free. So you can be hip to everything and be able to collect the big assignment fees.
100%. You can't say that any better, man. But I hear it and I see it all the time. Buyers and wholesalers bumping heads because values or just you're not pulling the data correctly. So 100% with that statement.
So what are some things that PropStream looking to do post-COVID to close out the year? I know you said you're doing updated filters on the list. Is there anything else?
Yeah.
From a software perspective and from a customer engagement perspective, because I represent PropStream not because you guys pay me, but because I believe in the product. There isn't a product that I represent that I personally don't use in my business. And I want to know, a lot of people, they reach out to me, hey, I just think PropStream waste of money, and it makes me want to blow my brains out, because I'm like, you don't have to worry about dealing with a realtor. You can run your own comps. You can literally analyze the market. Some people get confused, like, hey, I'm new. Where should I start? In PropStream, just type in whatever area you want to start, and it's going to give you the data right there, what's going on, how many cash sales happen, how many houses in pre-foreclosure. It's going to tell you everything you need to know to get started.
Oh, absolutely. And just some things that we've done on our end to kind of help out. We've grown our team. We just hired a bunch of new developers, an economist, a journalist. You're going to start seeing more articles coming out. We have so much data that we're able to use this data to make predictions. So you're going to start seeing us more involved on telling you what markets are really hot, what leads are being utilized in
You know, it would
markets.
be dope if you guys use this StreamYard, something like this, and make it like a Bloomberg show to kind of like give you futures, give you like show you what the market head and
Oh,
okay,
we're working on that. You're
down
gonna
here
get
in East
graphs.
Texas, Waco, Texas, we got a rush of pre-foreclosures. We think that these properties are going to go this way. You guys should be pulling this list. You know, I think that would be dope.
Oh, no. Actually, you nailed it right on the head. We actually have an economist who's really good with running data, and we call him a data scientist. And so we're going to actually be showing you guys graphs. You guys are going to be having we have a massive user face upload or enhancement coming out in the next few months. So if you thought it's amazing now, just wait. In the next few months, we're going to be taking the calculations and the data that we're running on the back end with our science team, and we're going to be providing you guys statistics at a local level, at a county level.
Man, that's going to be dope.
One of the things I don't know if you guys saw, I was pointing out earlier, was that the numbers of property owned. There's a reason why we're having that in there right now, is that it's going to help you. We're going to tie that in with the buyers list, right? Because there's been an issue. People have said, oh, yeah, I'm looking for buyers, but not just any buyers. I want to find the really good ones. So we're going to be doing some updates, like being able to identify how many properties are tied to a certain individual and actually show you those addresses that are tied to that individual. So we have a bigger team that we just got on board a few months ago. We're doing a lot of marketing and media, video trainings and webinars every week, updating the data. And then again, we're always trying to go out there to these events to educate people that this isn't just your typical system where you just pull data from. I mean, if that's the case, just go to the county. You don't even need us anymore. But this is a system that's beyond that. It's millions of data sets that you can choose from. Again, it's just a buffet of data. And if you're not the type to try new things, if you go to a buffet just to get spaghetti all the time, it's not really worth the time, right? And that's what I want to educate people, is that all of that can be consumed. You just got to know the right way of actually putting it together and making that nice plate. But that's why I want to explain to you guys that this is just a lot of data. You want to make sure you guys join the drip event so I can break it down. I know it's very comprehensive, but I'm going to break it down as easy as possible, give you guys that mindset that I have to find these leads that these big investment firms are doing every single day that you're not doing, because they know you're looking for pre-foreclosures. They know you're looking for tax liens. They know you're looking for delinquencies. These huge investment firms that we work with, that I work with directly, I know their strategies. That's the stuff I'm going to be sharing with you. How are they making millions of dollars? And I'm going to be sharing that information with you guys. Remember, these guys have been doing it for years. I know their secrets. And their secret is they understand that data manipulation part. It's not as black and white as it is to most of us, where we think we need to get a list. It's not the case anymore. So I'm going to be sharing these really crazy, what I call ninja formulas to you guys. So you got to make sure you join, or at least reach out. But we got new updates I'm going to be covering at the drip event, new filters I'll be covering. These new filters will definitely garnish some new leads that you've never thought about before. And again, the ultimate goal is to get you guys more leads, double that revenue, period, man.
So you know, the prop stream, they give us 10,000 leads a month. What should we be doing with them leads? Like, some people, they just stuck on pulling pre-foreclosure over and over again. What else should they be doing to expand their database with records? Again,
you just have to understand there's more levels of motivation. And so if I can share my screen, I want to use this graph. I'm going to be sharing this graph and explaining it more about it in the future, in the event. But this is a graph I like to use to kind of express how I go about it. And you can see what I'm showing you right now, right?
Yes, I'm about to share it right here.
Okay. So this is what I call the motivation chart. Now, please don't judge me. This was something I drew out of scratch because just the years of talking to investors. But what I have here is what I call my motivation chart. And what we have on the left side is the low motivation leads, the mid motivated leads, and the high motivated leads. Now, if you were to take all of our categories that we have and categorize them, here's where they fall. Right? The low motivation leads are like your cash buyers, your high equity properties, your free and clear properties, and your flippers. Like someone like Antoine. These are people you don't call to get discounted properties. Right? I'm not going to call Antoine after he bought a $50,000 property in cash and say, Antoine, I'd like to buy that property for $25,000 in cash. He's going to slam the phone call on me, right? So you have to understand that although we have all these categories, some of them don't apply to your strategy. But if I was in need of getting someone to fund a contract or want to raise private money or find a really aggressive investor, this is definitely the area. But what we're taught, most new investors, is that you got to go find motivation. And what's the first thing that most people teach you? Oh, go get the pre-foreclosure list, right? Go get the auction list. And so what ends up happening is we new investors jump straight into the high motivated area. And this is not bad. This is actually a good thing, but there are some challenges with it, right? When you're in the need help category and you're calling pre-foreclosures and auctions, and in some states foreclosures, if you can work with them. Well, the reason why people are here is because of the three main things that you're going to get in this area. You're going to get big discounts. Why? Because beggars can't be choosers. If the homeowner is about to go up for auction next week and all they have to do is pay $250,000, even though the house could sell for $400,000, that owner is probably going to take $300,000 and walk away, right? Beggars can't be choosers. That's why a lot of people like this. But another reason they like it is it's faster closing, right? You want to make money as soon as possible. And this is the best list to start with because you have to beat against that auction date. If you can close before the auction date, that means you make money. But the problem with this category is that it's very competitive. Oh, sorry. I just closed out that. Let me bring it back up. The problem with this category is that it's very competitive, but I'm telling you, you shouldn't stop. You should still do this area, but it's very competitive. And all these investors want pre-foreclosures because of the motivation that it's in. But remember, this is what you have to understand. Nobody wakes up in pre-foreclosure overnight. You don't just go from high equity to pre-foreclosure overnight and like, oh, what the heck had just happened? There's what I call the uh-oh scenario, right? A bankruptcy, a divorce, it's vacant. They're tired of renting it out. They have a lien or they try to sell and it failed. They're not paying their taxes on time anymore. This is the early stage of motivation. This is what you could do in PropStream. And I'll give you an example. I can go into PropStream, go into Las Vegas. And if I know you and every other investor are hunting down pre-foreclosures, well, I'm going to look for an uh-oh, right? Let's take a look at those liens. I'm going to look for liens, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in the filter and I'm going to say no pre-foreclosures, none of that. So while you are waiting over here for pre-foreclosure records, I'm over here talking and building that relationship and hopefully closing deals way before you even see them. That's what we can do at PropStream. That's what we call list suppression. And this is a chart. Yeah,
that's
this chart
right there.
I use because this is what these big firms are doing while you're out there looking for they're doing it too, but they have teams that are calling people once a week just to check in and see how they're doing. And I think there's two benefits to that. A, when you start early, you are dealing with a little bit of motivation, so don't expect a yes right away. Build that relationship with them. But the idea is that you're going to hopefully close the deal before it goes into a pre-foreclosure. Now, let's face some realities, right? You've worked with someone for 4 months. You're building that great relationship. They go into pre-foreclosure, right? You're probably mad, like, man, I lost that deal. No, you didn't. Because when they go into pre-foreclosure, that's when everybody starts calling them, right? And who do you think they're going to lean more towards? The person that just started calling them or the person that's been working with them for the last 4 months? That's why list suppression is very important. And that's what I'm going to be showing. These are just a few examples of the things that you can do. List stacking to drive that motivation as high as possible. List suppression so you can beat the people that are only go in there and come up with your own scenarios, highly motivated, least motivated, or you can do things like, in this case, just to get creative a little bit, right? Like I can take one of these good categories like this cash buyer here, who you normally wouldn't want to deal with, and make them a motivated seller. And here's how I do that. I can go into PropStream. I'll go to Las Vegas and I'll find me a cash buyer. But how do I know that they're motivated? Well, they tried to list the property this year and it failed. That's a motivated cash buyer, right? So think about it. Cash buyer, they've owned the property for no more than 2 years. So they've only owned it for 24 months. They did the rehab. They did all of that. And then this year they tried to list it on the MLS, but it failed. So these are leads. Why? Because they took the risk 2 years ago to buy a property when there was no pandemic.
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy, Bert? Not to cut you off. I did a lead just like that. We bought about a year ago. and it came from PropStream, and it came from the failed listener. And she's literally about 3 weeks before that fired a realtor and was so motivated. We got her for like 80,000 cash.
There you go.
And to give you some perspective, cash buyers was paying 120,000 cash for deals like that. And
Exactly.
I could have double closed it and got 120, but me want to be goddamn bothered to build it, I flipped the house. But now I'm starting to just let stuff go without having to flip it to make that quick money. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And see, that's what I mean is that once you understand how this data can be stacked, you can take someone who would not be considered a motivated seller, a cash buyer, and turn them into a uh-oh or a need help, right? In this case, here are people that bought properties in cash 2 years ago. They got the rehab done. They try to sell it this year. Oh, guess what? COVID-19 happened. No one wants to buy properties. I have 176 investors that are probably in trouble. And again, some of these guys are using hard money lenders. They have to pay for that stuff. And so
our money is no joke. Trust me.
There is no joke. So the cool thing about these leads are, again, they bought it a few years back and it's failed, right? And that's the benefit is now we can call them and see, hey, you know what? I understand you tried to buy this property. You know, it's been fixed. I see that it failed on the market. You're still looking to sell, and maybe can we give you a different price? And here's the cool thing about it. These properties are already rehabbed. So you don't even need to do the rehab, and you know what they were listed for. Like this property was listed for 218 and it failed. So guess what? How does 200K sound out the door? And you've already done the rehab for me.
So even like as far as like creative stuff, like this is the you know, like the grounds for like being able to start implementing creative financing. You know what I mean? Like especially if you got a lender that come in and refinance you out within 6 months, because a lot of these hard money loans are balloon loans. You know, 6 to 12 month term. You might get a 12-month extension, but I can't foresee anybody lending you money past 24 months without some type of major points and fees they want to charge.
And again, that's all because of that pendulum swinging. I mean, these guys would have been great if 2020 never happened the way it happened, right? But 2020 happened. Millions of people have lost their job. No one's really buying houses on the market right now, and at least in most areas. I know some areas nothing has really changed, but again, this was a list that you wouldn't want to deal with because these are cash buyers flipping properties. But 2020 happened. These are all the failed listings. I'm sure they're stressing out. They're like, dude, we just spent hundreds of $1,000s on this investment property and it won't sell. I just want to get my money back now, right? And if you can call them and give them the value of what they spent, maybe give them a little bit on top, you're done. And the property's already rehabbed.
So do you have any like ninja tricks, like say for example, I want to enter a new market. How could I figure out using PropStream what's the most appropriate price point to target? Because think about it, if I'm in Greensboro, North Carolina, I wouldn't be targeting $1.3 million properties, right? There got to be some type of underlying medium price I need to chase. Should you recommend them going through the MLS and just looking at the average, or is there some type of proprietary way you discover that you can give us?
Yeah, some of the tips I can give you. I use the heat map. First thing is I go into a market and I'll use the heat map just so I can see the estimated values. So show me estimated values in this area. So the red ones are the property values of 100 or $1 million or more. So those are probably markets you probably want to stay with unless you're an agent looking to list $1 million properties. That's one area. Another way I like to look for leads is I use price growth. Show me how this market has grown in the last year or the last 3 years, right? Because your investors are smart. They know the markets that are growing. And here we can see the pockets of red in Vegas that have grown by 100%. So I usually start there.
I didn't even use that filter before yet. I'm slipping.
The other thing I do is I use the cash buyers and flippers list. Here's how I would do it, right? You want to know where in Vegas most buyers are buying? Well, let's use that. Let's click on the cash buyers. Let's organize the buyers by making sure we're finding buyers that bought this year, right? So I'm trying to look for buyers who are buying during COVID, so April 1st and later. Show me all the cash transactions April 1st or later this year of all the single family properties, right? That's the first thing I do. I want to know all the buyers buying single family properties this year. The next thing I do is I click on this little tab right here and it gives me a spreadsheet of all my results. And then the next thing I do, Antoine, is I organize it by zip code. And then I play this game called whoever has the most zip codes is the one where I'm going to look for leads in, right? So I go down this cash buyer list of everybody that bought in April and after, and I look for the zip code that has the most results. So right now, 89101 seems to be the winner. It has 26 results. And then 89102 doesn't have that many results. It only has like 19 results. And that's what I do. I look at these zip codes, and once I find the zip code that has the most, I take that zip code, and that's where I'm going to find my pre-foreclosures and my liens and my tired landlords. Why? Because that's where most of the buyers are at right now. Those are the ninja tricks. And you can even do that with the flippers list, right? Because the flippers are...
There's some high-level stuff, Bert. You got 78 people watching right now. So
yeah, again, you guys are looking
concurrent. When we finish, it'll probably be over 1,000 people watching.
Right. And again, to add to that, remember, we added that new list, that new filter, right? So show me in Vegas all the cash buyers buying single-family properties this year, right? And so we can do that sell date like I did, and then organize it by the zip code. But remember, we added some new filters. That new filters is numbers of property owned. So how many of these cash buyers that sold this year have more than 5 properties in their belt? Because these are the real investors. These are the real cash buyers. They're the ones buying, and they have multiple addresses under their name. So we went from 1,400 cash transactions to the 581 cash buyers that have 5 properties under their portfolio or more. That's how I would go about finding leads. And then again, do the same thing. Once you have these cash buyers with 5 properties or more, the really aggressive ones, let's organize them by zip code. Which ones, where are they mostly focusing their leads on? 89101, 89102, 89103. Find the one with the most leads. And then from there, copy that zip code. And that's where you should be finding your leads. If you want to go based on where again, what they say, follow the money, right? That's how you follow the money. Follow the money. Follow where the cash buyers are at.
So you think you can get your developers to take this and make this like a button where people can just click it and then do it for them?
No, because the issue with that is because what I'm doing is I'm specifying a sell date range, right? I'm choosing April 1st. I'm choosing, maybe 12. So no, we can't do it because every investor is different. Maybe you want to go 2 years back. Maybe you want to go only 3 months back. So again, we can't really design these ninja lists, but they're there. You just have to look at the data differently. I like to think of it as like, again, just piecing a buffet together, right? Like I do want cash buyers, but there's a specific type of cash buyer.
It's like when I came to Phoenix, right? They was like, hey, go to In-N-Out Burger, and they got this secret menu, like like you ask them for blah blah blah, and they give you all this crazy stuff. It's not even on the menu, but they know what you're talking about.
Exactly.
So it's almost similar to that.
Like the animal style fries and the 4x4, and the 3x3, all that.
But it's not on the menu, but everybody know about it. Yeah,
exactly. And again, if you take the time to study and learn about it, then it's there, and it could make your life happy. You can be like, oh, this is the best menu or meal I've ever had. But that's what we do. Is we definitely allow you to completely manipulate every piece and part of our data to come up with these unique things, whether it's where buyers at and how they're doing things and what zip codes are in, flippers, and even your motivated sellers. And this is, again, just a little sample of the things that I'll be teaching. But at the end of this drip event, when you attend, I'm going to make sure that you guys are walking away with my mindset, understanding how this data can be manipulated to find you the amazing leads that you're definitely overlooking.
Because the game you gave up tonight is literally what most people charge $30,000-$40,000 in masterminds to get. Because this is the stuff the high level guys talk about.
I'm telling you, man.
To people that's not a part of these associations.
Some people don't know that. So again, I'm that type. I'm willing to give you this information. I'm a firm believer. If you can take this information accordingly, you're going to help those 40 million people that have lost their jobs. I mean, they need help. They really do. And I can only help you understand that data. You're the one that's going to help these 40 million people. So let's work together. There's enough for everybody. But you just have to understand that there's a lot of leads out there. And if you have to understand the mindset of pulling data. Otherwise, if you don't, you're going to just pull the pre-foreclosure list, and then you're going to be like, okay, I'm done. Now what, right? I've called all the pre-foreclosures. There's no more leads in my market. And that's not true, because you see all these buyers are
they call you the plug. I'm telling you, baby. They call you the plug. Go get the plug.
That's what I do, man. But you guys don't miss. I'm telling you, this drip event, especially what I'll be discussing, is revolutionary, because we've never had this type of discussion about data and technology and what has technology done to this data. Again, most of us are still in the mindset that, oh, I just got to go get a pre-fork. No, I mean, we're in 2020, guys. Technology is here. There's so much you can do with this technology to find these hidden gems that are out there. So definitely pay attention.
Even with the whole PropStream mobile app, that was a game changer. You know, the virus kind of like, you know, pushed that to the side where people not talking about as much. But, you know, I use the app, and as I'm going down the street, and it's like, oh, yeah, they over there, they in pre-foreclosure. They over there, they got a divorce claim. I'm like, what? It's crazy. So my whole thing is, if you guys can figure out a way to get it to be a virtual driver for dollar app, because right now we run 3 VAs with our other driver for dollar app to put leads into our system organically, that would be much appreciated.
Oh, my buddy, we're working on that right now. Actually, we just started. If you see my screen now, we updated our mapping system. We actually now have Google Maps, which is the beginning of all that, because now you can take this little guy right over here, Antoine, and drag him on a street. And we're going to show you all of that information. Now, this is just the beginning of it. We got to get the up-to-date maps. But now, check this out. When you type in an address and you go into the details of that property. So now I'm in an address. So you see these pins?
Yeah.
Now, again, this is just the beginning of it. Now, when you drag and drop them on the street, look at those pins. So what do you think we're gonna be doing next with these pins when you click on them?
It's going to show you the information.
My friend, that's definitely what we're working on. So just give us more time. It's just a matter of development. To me, this is my best analogy when it comes to coding. You know those dominoes mazes? You know you hit and it just, that's coding for you. It's literally taking one domino piece and putting it in an already existing maze. And you got to do it just right, because if you don't do it, then everything just starts falling apart. So our team, again, we just hired some new developers. We're going to be working on a bunch of new things. This thing is still going. We're not done yet. I'm just not. We're barely scratching the surface, and we've been doing it for 15
I know
years.
you guys got like a lot of potential, and that's why when people say those slick stuff, I just be laughing like, man, you guys don't understand that these guys put up money for development. These guys put up hundreds, if not millions of dollars into making the product even more sound. Even though it's sound, they can just leave it like that, continue with the people they got already signed up, and just ride off in the sunset. But that's not enough for them, and I like that.
Oh no, I mean, at the end of the day, we do what we do. We invest what we invest. We do a lot of R&D. We try to make our product as ultimate as possible, because for two reasons. We want to make sure you get as much information as possible, and you have the most accurate information possible. But let's face it, it makes our competition work harder too, and that makes everybody wins at that point, right? So
because
that's
all
just
the customers, no matter if it's the same thing with my VA company. If we continue to refine our VA company and making it better and making the user experience better, anybody out here starting a VA company, they're gonna have to work 10 times harder.
Now you get it, and that's why I don't even like to call them our competition. That's why we created List Automator. You know, bring that data over. We have List Automator for you, but that's PropStream for you. That's our mindset.
That's the same thing with the VA company. We say, hey, if you already got VA, cool, bring them up. We'll cross train them, and we'll train them up to our standards. And people literally bringing their VAs over. They call, hey, man, I don't like it over here. Man, don't worry. You got a contract. Come over here. We'll cross train them, and we'll contract in. We'll bring you home, take care of you from there.
And that's the way that business should always be run, is that, hey, there's enough for everybody. Let's just work together. When you work together, you can get farther than just being on your own. So thank you guys. I mean, I can't really thank you guys enough for giving me the time.
We appreciate you. Hey, if people want to reach out to you, is there any way they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, you can reach. You can find me on Facebook, Burton Olicondo on Facebook. I have my public page there. On Instagram, it's Keep Calm. Burton is on. You can find me on Instagram too. Social media, our Facebook page. You can just call customer support and reach out to us. But yeah, no, definitely reach out. I'd love to speak to you guys and hear more about your suggestions and your, testimonials, and what we can do better on our end too. So yeah, make sure to reach out to me, guys.
I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. Again, Burton will be speaking at the DRIP 2020 conference. He's going to tear down the virtual stage. This presentation, I haven't seen it, but I know for a fact it's going to be MLB home run derby out there. It's going to be knocking them out the park. So I see you sometime in November. We most likely will speak before then, but I see you sometime in November to go over everything. If you haven't purchased your ticket, we have an early bird special running right now. It ends Friday, guys. Listen, go to drip2020.com, get your $97 ticket, because once it's cut off, We only messing with the high rolls. Again, better tickets, you know, $297 to $397. And I promise you, we won't disappoint. 40 speakers for 4 days and 40 hours worth of content. I don't know nobody who's offering that for less than $97. So appreciate you, Burton. Thank you so much. I know you got things to do. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I catch you next time. Thank you so much.
Oh, much love, brother. You guys have a great day. And thanks, guys, for joining me. I hope you guys have a great night. Take it easy.
Thank you. Listen, guys, there you have it. Tomorrow, I will be interviewing a customer of mine who started off back in June with our VA company and literally purchased a few products of ours. And now he's closing multiple deals a month, utilizing the VAs and following the system that we set forward in front of him. If that's something you want to do, text my cell phone, 202-335-3322. We're sending you on your way. It's me. I'm actually talking to people. Sometimes I actually call you. You never know. So if you're stuck and you haven't closed your first deal, text my cell phone. We have a bunch of stuff coming up, guys. If you're stuck and you figure out the lead generation part and you're stuck on closing deals, sign up for the acquisition, Batch 5, virtual acquisition training. It starts the 26th of this month. If you need help and you need somebody to take you to the next level, sign up for the REI Giver Masterclass. The REI Masterclass it literally starts on the 19th. V1 is literally coming full force with everything we have to offer in a virtual manner. And I'm having a virtual happy hour next week. Bring your own liquor, bring your laptop. We're going to meet in our brand new virtual office. It's going to be so amazing. That's all I have for you guys. Text my cell phone, 202-335-3322. Don't mind the time of day. As soon as you see the number, just text it. Go to drip2020.com. Sign up for the Drip Conference. We literally meet our quota for the Drip Conference, but we want as many people to come because lives will be changed that week. People would literally come in this building and not know anything and come out and be a full-fledged entrepreneur within 4 days. And why would I say something so bold like that? Because we have 40 speakers, not just myself, giving you all they got to really help your business get to the next level. Do me a favor, share this post. Appreciate you. See you guys tomorrow. See you at the top. Man, if you're not following me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram, CEO929. I do a weekly Instagram where I call it Smoke With Me, where I smoke a cigar, and I answer as many questions as possible when I'm smoking my cigar. So definitely catch my Smoke For Me. It's a random Instagram live. I'm not really well with structure, so definitely follow me. Appreciate you. Catch you guys later. Peace and blessings. I love each and every one of you. If you're watching it on YouTube, subscribe to my channel. Support your brother. Let me make a little money off my YouTube channel. Support your brother. So catch you guys later. Thank you.
That's ISO. Rack it up, I got a bit of the bank to make me a safe house. Shake it up, she got her hands on her knees and she bringing that cake out. Smoke it up, I got some gas, some packs, I'm up in the greenhouse. Ball it up, I'm with the gang, we taking shots off the rebound. Fucking my post to say now, I've been humble too long, yeah. Tell them all to stay calm, yeah. Tell them all to move on, yeah. Fucking my post to say now, they be lost in the sauce, yeah. Took a loss, that's your loss, yeah. Had to get my point across, hey. Smoking that dope from Edmond, we the new meth in Redmond. We ain't real blood, but we brethren. Run up a check and it's pending. She talking my news, but send them. Fuck with the fam, you a dead man. Jesus, peace on my pendant, and we still independent. ISO.
This podcast is sponsored by Easy Skip Tracing. Go to www.easyskiptracing.com for some of the most quality data in the marketplace. In fact, Easy Skip Tracing believes in good quality data so much that they're willing to provide you the leads as long as you skip trace the list with the company. Listen, text 1K leads to 44222 and get 1,000 free leads as long as you purchase the skip tracing with Easy Skip. This podcast is sponsored by the REI Lead Vault. The REI Lead Vault is a real-world Podio workspace solution designed by real estate professionals for real estate professionals. Check it out at the REILeadVault.com.
Nothing but nuggets. See, I'm telling you, man, came from nothing to something. Now we giving you game, dropping nothing but nuggets.